of HP Critical, a podcast where my friends and I talk all things gaming. I'm Jerel, and I'm joined by Brandon, Kellie, and Gabe. Say hi, guys!
Hey!
Hi, guys!
And a very special shout out to Kellie, because by the time you hear this, it will be her birthday. Because her birthday's tomorrow!
Yeah!
Yay! I'm pre-gaming.
Yes! Me too! This is tea. I just had lots of wine, so
Me three.
Come down with
Me
I had to come
four.
down
Basic
with the
ass
tea.
water.
And so we're gonna sing Kellie happy birthday at the end.
That we are.
Oh my god!
Okay.
Be
At
great.
the end of the podcast?
Yeah, I was gonna do it at the beginning, but Gabe's gonna leave us soon, so I want him to be able to get his opinions out there before he has to dip, because he's got a busy lifestyle.
Okay.
So what he's basically saying is he doesn't want to hear me sing at the end of the podcast, so that's why they're doing it at the end of the podcast.
Alright, let's do it right now. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to you!
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday to you!
This is something.
Happy birthday, dear
dear
Kellie! Happy
Happy
birthday
to
you.
I'm gonna need more drinks.
What a way to say thank
Did our
you.
best.
Thank you so much. You guys are very special to me. So I appreciate it.
I take that.
Bro,
I'll take
that
that.
was so, please don't do that again, you suck. But that's fine, because you know what else?
It was wonderful. What?
PlayStation for removing or closing the
Suck,
PlayStation
oh God.
stores. Thank you! PlayStation sucks for closing the PlayStation stores on the PS3, PSP, and Vita. So it's official now. We did talk about it last week. It was a rumor. Now it is official. I'll read the official statement later on. But to hop right into this, after PlayStation made that announcement, there was a tweet from Xbox Wire that said the backward compatibility program is heading to the cloud, starting with a collection of classic Xbox and Xbox 360 games. Gabe, is that what we were talking about?
Yeah.
Great. So the first thing I want to talk about with you guys is basically PlayStation closing the stores versus Microsoft holding on to everything that they are doing for backwards compatibility. Gabe, how are you feeling about that?
I'm not too happy about it because everyone knows I love PlayStation. I love Nintendo. But the only company that is actually focusing on, the last generations of games, and not, not just, the Xbox One, PS4 generation of games. I'm talking about Xbox 360 and whatever came before that on Xbox.
Xbox
regular
original.
Xbox
Yeah.
original? Oh, okay.
Most people just call it Xbox OG original, whatever you're... Yeah.
Yeah, so the only company that's focusing on, those games is Microsoft itself and Xbox. So, on one end, it's horrible to look at, all these Xbox players having fun playing old games like, Morrowind, for example. And then, I boot up the PS5 and I'm like, oh, I want to play some Morrowind or some Oblivion. I can't do that because the only games I can play are PS4 and present day games. If I'm going to go on my Switch and play The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, I can't do that because Nintendo has refused to do any type of virtual console or port of their older generation games to the Switch, unless you count NES and SNES and those couple of ports here and there like Super Mario 64.
Mhm.
So it's kind of, I'm not going to say a slap to the face by Sony and Nintendo, but it's also like, you hear this is something that we want. This is something that we've all been saying, and I'm gonna get to your laughing later. It's something that it's not unknown to them that we want all our old games. Even if it's just to play for like 2 seconds. So good for Xbox and Microsoft and all their little fan base of. I'm not gonna say anything mean.
I'll put a spell on you.
I really hope. Now I'm really gonna say it. No, but it's good that at least one of the big three is paying attention, and they're again not going out of the way because they've clearly shown, and even regular people have shown that it's not that hard to bring over an old game to your newer devices. Like I can literally boot up my PC, which I didn't build it, but I got it in 2017, and I could play, Ocarina of Time. So it's good to see one of the big three paying attention to, the older gens and, backwards compatibility. It'd be nice if Sony and Nintendo said something about it. I know Nintendo, because Brandon brings this up a lot, they do that, the drip feed, which isn't a very fun method of bringing your old games. I mean, and at the same time, you drip feed some of the worst games. Like, you'll open up the NES or the SNES app, and there's like, oh, this new game is available. I'm like, who the fuck has ever heard of that game? No one.
Brandon
but then
has.
it gives us content.
Literally heard of
Brandon.
everything now.
It gives Brandon. It gives Brandon content.
It does.
But
Wow.
but then you have people. Then Sony. Sony has done nothing for backwards compatibility in terms of the PS5, except say, hey, yeah, you can put in your PS4 disc and
Well,
bada bing, bada boom. There you go. You can play your old.
Like 3 or 10 or whatever.
8. It was like
whatever.
8, I think. But yeah, but that's it. You can only play PS4 games. You can't play PS3. You can't play PS2, which it sucks. But I guess Sony knows what they're doing.
So the reason I was laughing is because I messed up the beginning of the video recording, and I noticed while you were talking. Sorry, but that's not
do we
funny.
have to start over?
No, it's totally fine. We're just gonna keep it YOLO.
April
Fools! It's not my fault. We're recording on April 1st. It's funny that you say Xbox is the only one that knows what people want. I guess people do want backwards compatibility, but I just am still under the impression that people want it and don't use it. And there's always been surveys of people saying the same thing that I just said, which is a lot of people ask for it and then they don't actually use backwards compatibility in the way that they would. And I guess right now it's a very special situation because it's a new console. So right now, I guess if you want to use your brand new console and play your favorite game, now is a really great time to do it. But in 2-3 years, when we're looking at, all these new IPs from all the studios that Xbox has grabbed, are we still going to be reaching back to play old Xbox games then? Or are we going to be looking forward to new stuff? And I think PlayStation is doing something very interesting right now, which is that their monthly games have been getting better and better. So far every month since the PlayStation has been out, they've given us something that we can play on PS5, and or a really good PS4 game. And I feel like this is their way of saying, yeah, we've got new stuff. Oddworld Soulstorm, the one that they keep showing on PS5, is coming for free on PS5. So now I get to play technically a remake of an old game, but it's still a new game. Last month was, Final Fantasy VII. The month before that was Bugsnax. It's we're Destruction All-Stars, Bugsnax. Yeah, we're not getting old games, but PlayStation is giving us new games, whereas Xbox isn't giving us anything new. So for me, I don't care about Xbox 360 or Xbox games when I have a bunch of games currently to play on the Switch. I've got Monster Hunter Rise, Bravely Default 2. I've got all these new titles, and then PlayStation's going to give me even more new titles to play, so I don't need backwards compatibility. So I think it's crazy that people are kind of shitting on PlayStation for not doing it and praising Xbox for something that I don't know how many people are going to use. But it's cool to have. I will say it's really cool to have it there. It's better to have it than to not have it, 100%.
Exactly,
sure.
Yeah.
Better to have it than to not have it. But you know what I would like? Halo Infinite. I don't know, actual, real, new games to play on my Series X. That'll make me excited.
you can play Outriders. It came out on Gamepass.
That's why I bought Game Pass. But guess what? Mm-hmm. That's not an exclusive title that's going to pull me to the Xbox.
You damn right.
Although I did get it on Xbox because I got it on Game Pass because I didn't want to pay $70.
What I was going to say was, in regards to Xbox's thing, like you just said, new games aren't really coming out for the Xbox right now that a lot of people want to play, at least that aren't multi-platform. But what I think Xbox's strength is, we were talking about the backwards compatibility, I think, along with Game Pass, that is actually one of its strengths. I think it has a rare exception because, like you said, a lot of people ask for backward compatibility and won't use it. With Xbox, I feel it's an exception only because, of course, they can go all the way back to the original Xbox, even if it's only 30 games of the original and not the full library. But if you play those 360 Xbox One games, their performance goes up, which is something that the other consoles don't really do. I remember, the first week Series X was coming out, people were showing off videos of Sonic Unleashed, like running at like a better frame rate than it ever had and like better resolution. And people are just showing those off. Like they're just showing off old games because they could. And like that's again, until really good exclusive games come out, like Halo Infinite come out, that's really what the Xbox is now. It's your Game Pass machine, it's your backwards compatibility machine. And also, I want to point this out too. It's a lot easier for Xbox to honor their legacy because they don't have as big as legacy as Sony or Nintendo. Certainly not Nintendo. Like, all they have to go back is 2-3 generations. Sony has to go all the way back, would have to go all the way back to the PS1. Nintendo would have to go all the way back to the NES. And they do a lot of NES and Super Nintendo games, but they're cutting out the middle. That's where I think people are getting, like, upset that you can't really get 64 GameCube, Wii, or Wii U games. Well, Wii U games are getting ported, but Wii, GameCube, 64, that's kind of being left if you're a Switch owner at the moment. And I think that's the distinction that a lot of people are noticing. Nintendo, when it comes to their legacy titles, they love to focus on those early NES, Super Nintendo games quite often. But in the middle, it's been traditionally it hasn't been supported well at all.
To add to that really quick, something else that I think people are mad about the Switch and not bringing over older titles is we have the first handheld home console, and you have a handheld console, and you're not bringing old handheld games to it.
Right, I didn't even mention the handheld systems either.
Like this would be the perfect console to bring over Game Boy Advance games, Game Boy Game Boy Color games, and stuff like that. So
yeah, I would like that.
Yeah, it feels like Nintendo's missing an opportunity here with the Switch.
Yeah, I would say so.
I'm so confused as to how we got on Nintendo.
They're still talking about ports.
We're talking about backwards compatibility in general and just like how much people would use it. I think it just really depends on the game in question. I can tell you that very few people besides me are playing these NES games that no one's heard about.
Yeah, so, I guess those same people are going to be playing their Xbox 360 games because it's so cool that you get backwards compatibility on the Xbox.
Some games, it's worth it to them.
That was being serious.
Okay, yeah.
But I heard sarcasm in there.
It was not.
I was going to start swinging.
I was like, what are you talking about?
I was going to start swinging.
I still think it's really cool, but I think I think to discount PlayStation because they don't have like a backwards compatible library is not, it's not the same thing because we're still getting brand new IPs on PS5, something Xbox is still not giving us. Is there a brand new Microsoft exclusive game for the Xbox Series X that's out for Xbox and PC?
Let's look it up.
The answer is no.
Well, hold on real quick. And I was just thinking about like how pretty much each company feels about it. Xbox is like, yeah, game preservation is important. Here's every generation. Nintendo's like, legacy's important. Here's NES, Super Nintendo games. What about the other ones? No, don't worry about those. Where Sony's just straight up like, who wants to play old games?
I mean, like, think about it. They have it's also, to me, a very simple business decision, right? Like, we're moving forward with one of the fastest selling PlayStation systems right now being the PS5. Like, people are getting it for games. New games, right? We are moving forward, so I don't see moving backwards as a lucrative opportunity that PlayStation recognizes, I guess.
Okay. The thing is, I'll chime in here because I only know that our generation of millennials and like this age bracket, they love nostalgia.
Yep.
And you're missing out on a huge market by not having backwards compatible games. That's the only thing I'll chime in with because really the only relevant piece of information that I can contribute to this. Like, we are obsessed with nostalgia. It doesn't matter if we ever play it or not. I have not picked up 3D All-Stars in a while, but having Super Mario 64 was very important to me. Like, I don't know why. I don't even I'm so bad at it, I can't even play it. But like, I just wanted to have it because guess what? The last time I was truly happy was when I was a child. So, continue.
Oh my god. I mean,
it's my birthday tomorrow. I'm feeling a little like
I don't even know how to follow up.
I'm old. I'm old as fuck. So anyway.
Well, if it makes you feel better, Kelly, Brandon is older than both of us. And Gabe is older than both of us.
Wait.
I don't know.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But since we're talking about birthdays, though, something that was failed to be mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, we're recording this on our 2nd anniversary of
Oh
HP
my
Critical.
god! How did
Yes.
I forget? Yes! Oh my god!
Anniversaries and birthdays.
It's funny that
all
he's
kind
the
of
one that forgets,
celebrations.
because this is his birth baby.
I
This
know.
is, yeah.
It's so funny because it was not supposed to be on April 1st, and that's a story I'll tell another day, but the time that the website went live, I was like, no, it's April Fool's Day. When I announce this, everyone's gonna think I'm joking. Like, what a crap time for the website to go live. And I was like, well, fuck it, it's too late now. I hope you guys believe me. And 2 years later, here we are. Happy birthday, HP Critical. Happy birthday, Kellie. Thank you, Gabe, for the reminder. 2 years of HP Critical. It's been really crazy to see us get like 5 views and then like get the amount of views that we're getting on the website right now. Like, just that progress, seeing people wearing the fucking logo that so many people helped design.
Merch.
Like, it's really awesome. Happy birthday to HP Critical. Let's do this for another 2 years and then see how I
Cheers.
feel.
Beyond.
and
how I feel.
and beyond. Yes, happy birthday, Kelly. Happy birthday, HP Critical. Thank you, Gabe, for the reminder. Now, for the PlayStation Store, there has been some new news that came out with the announcement, which includes that you can still re-download previously purchased content and games redeemed through PS Plus. So even though the store is going to be down, anything that you've already purchased, you can still go back and re-download. There will be no more actual purchases and no more in-game purchases for those games that you currently have on those systems. And I know, because I specifically remember talking about how we wouldn't be able to re-download games. That's actually not the case. You can still re-download games that you've purchased. You just can't purchase new games. It still sucks. I think the Vita is still an amazing system. I played it so much for visual novels, because I love visual novels, because I love stories and all this other bullshit about crying and feeling bad and murdering people and all the wonderful stuff that comes with this. Yeah, so I think it's still a really great system, and it sucks that I just downloaded Final Fantasy VI because I'd never played it before, and I'm doing this thing where I play all the Final Fantasy games, and I got it on the Vita because it's not available on Switch. Otherwise, I would have gotten it on the Switch. And
I just want to say it's too soon for Vita to be sunsetted along with the
sure.
PS3 and PSP. I mean, the other two, it sucks, but I get it. But Vita, that's not nearly as old as the other two. It's
It has no successor either. Like,
Right.
it just has nothing
Sony
that's come
said no-
after it.
Yeah,
I can't
Sony
turn
said no
my
more
PS5.
handhelds.
I turn my PS5 to the side and start playing a handheld game.
And,
Be cool.
I saw a tweet that was like, "This is."
It'd be heavy.
It would be. I saw a tweet that said, "This is not looking good for the PS5 digital edition. Like, it makes me not want to buy one." I feel like that's going a little overboard, guys. But
It's going overboard now.
now, yeah. But something also that happened was with the news that the Vita store was closing, along with the PS3 and PSP stores, a lot of developers apparently that were still working on video games found out at the same time that everyone else did, because supposedly Sony was still selling dev kits for the PS Vita so that people were still able to work on PS Vita games, only to find out that in a few months all of their hard work is going to be nothing because they aren't going to be able to sell their titles. That is such a trash move. Brendan, I know you had something to say about that. So
Oh yeah, that's some absolute bullshit. Like, the idea that we talked about in a past podcast, it might have even been last episode, how you put in so much work and then you feel like it's wasted. Now I want to talk about, like, they got paid, of course, for their work of, like, putting all this time to make a Vita game, but the fact that they put in all that time to make it and it's not even going to come out because there's not enough time to, that sucks. Like, their game is still going to come out on other platforms, and if we're being perfectly honest, it probably wouldn't have done as well on Vita, but, like, I don't know, there's some Vita enthusiasts out there. Regardless, it doesn't even matter. If they put their time to make a Vita port for it and it's, like, not even coming out, then it's just like, ugh. And the person that put that tweet about how they found out at the same time, I looked at the comment thread a little bit, and that person was working on the Vita stuff that morning before seeing the message. So literally up until the day of, they were working on Vita stuff, and then to get that message the same as everyone else, I'm like, freaking yikes.
Well, they didn't want it leaked, but it got leaked anyways, didn't it? It was like a rumor.
It did get leaked, because if I've been working on a Vita game for like 2 years, and like I'm working on it that morning, and then PlayStation's just like, "Hey, just kidding, we're closing the store," bitch, I want my 2 years back. somebody's giving me 2 years worth of work. I don't know where it's coming from. I will sue those motherfuckers. I don't know. Somebody owe me 2 years of fucking work because that's ridiculous. And I'm doing it like the morning I'm finding out. That's horrible.
Yeah, like that's internally that's now that's got some internal restructuring now because I'm sure they had like a team, someone who there was like again the person made a tweet. It was
fired now.
It fired or relocated. Optimistically, the latter, but who knows? Who actually knows? Like, it's such a pain. It was such a painful thing to hear. It's just. I have a pet peeve about like not communicating about these kind of things and having people waste their time. So Kellie, it's just like
for a second, I was crying.
No, I just thought like, well, it's La Vida Loca.
Oh my god!
Oh no!
Oh no! I did. I'm so sorry. I'm just because Vita. I'm sorry.
Oh
I'm having some alcohol. I'm having some beverages. Just. Puns or
oh no, this is good. This is good.
It's a funny ass joke if you're not the ones getting fired.
This is good.
Yeah, when you're not actually affected, I'm sure it's
good story, good content.
So something else that was noted is that there's an article at IGN that talks about how digital sales are on the rise and they could essentially basically get rid of physical copies of games. It says analysts suggest that in just 6 years, digital game sales could entirely dominate the video game market. And then they go on to talk about why and what that means. And I think if you look at, COVID and how digital sales have worked and how do you guys feel about knowing that digital could be the way to go in as little as 6 years, according to these analysts, after hearing that PlayStation's just like, fuck y'all?
Yeah, that was going to be my point exactly. Like, in a world where they either transferred what was on the old PSN and moved it forward or they just didn't get rid of it, I could hear that and be like, that does seem to be where we're going. But I don't think that in a world where, entire digital libraries of games just die in basically a finger snap, that we can realistically, in 6 years, go into an all digital future. That just doesn't seem feasible to me. And yeah, no, that's all. That's all I have to say about that. I just don't think so. Like, if we're getting rid of old stores, I don't think so. Not in 6 years anyway.
Yeah, and there goes Mario.
So what was the article again?
Huh? Which one? The one I was just
you just said? Yeah.
It says analysts suggest that in just 6 years, digital game sales could entirely dominate the video game market.
Okay, here's the reason I don't like it, and it's not as deep as Brandon's, but if you remember some of our earlier podcasts, we were talking about the new generation consoles when they were coming out, and, the whole thing was, between getting a digital console, like the Series S or the PS5 digital, or getting, the disc version. One of us said, like, oh yeah, I would want to get the digital one, blah, blah, blah. And then I brought up the point about I would get a digital one if the storage spaces were better. I feel like if in 6 years, it's doable, but after this last launch of consoles, I don't see them doing it. If they want to move to a completely digital library, you're going to have to upgrade memory on your consoles, like, significantly. Because right now I've been okay with the PS5, and it's because I low-key forgot that I have here's the thing. I have a 1 terabyte hard drive connected to it, but that's a terabyte that I bought myself. It didn't come with the console.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like, it's kind of an asshole move to say, like, oh yeah, like, everything's going digital and here's your digital console, but you can't.
How is that an asshole move to...
Oh, no, Jerel.
How is that an asshole move to speak to analysts and figure out that, like, in 6 years...
No. I'm not saying they're the assholes. I'm saying it would be an asshole move for, like, Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo to be like, hey, our libraries are moving digital, but we're not really going to upgrade the system on our consoles. You're still going to have to go out and buy your own.
Don't the games download from the disc anyways now?
Yeah, some of them do.
But because they don't
but it doesn't require as much space.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't require as much space. So that, like, and that's another like fighting point for people to, like, oh yeah, we don't want, I always go digital. I always go physical because it doesn't take up as much space, and that's one of the cases. It doesn't, like, I don't even want to compare a modern, Call of Duty Modern Warfare digital version to like the disc version, because I'm pretty sure it's a big difference. So like I
Yeah.
feel like, again, 6 years might have better consoles with better storage, but like it's something I would be wary about.
It's too optimistic, I think. 6 years.
Yeah.
These analysts know more than all of us. Are you saying they're wrong?
Yeah, you know me. If it's not my
If it's not my analysts,
we analyze too.
We analyze our own opinions.
That's
the thing is, like, who did the analysts work for?
I believe that this article had the author interviewing specific video game analysts looking at the market trends that lean towards either digital or physical. I don't actually remember.
Well, on that note, let me just supply this real quick. Perhaps the reason why they're even providing this is because I know that's what the big three would like to happen.
It does
because
say, sorry to cut you off, but it does say that in 2018, 43% of Sony's full game software was downloaded, and in 2019 it went up to 55%, and it was a huge year-over-year increase. And that's what they were seeing despite COVID, but this was before COVID. Like, they saw the increase before COVID, and the numbers for Take-Two on Sony were, it says the Sony and Take-Two numbers were pre-COVID 12 months through March 31st, 2020. The EA numbers was 49% in the same time period. That has also grown 3 percentage points in the last quarter. So this isn't like, this is literally just pre-COVID, people were buying more digital than physical. That was the trend. And then after COVID, it continues to rise. And if the trend continues, by 6 years from now, we could see the digital side completely dominating the market. But go ahead.
Okay, I get that. Yeah, I totally get that. And to be fair, digital has, gotten more popular, and that's only going to be cemented by the fact that both Microsoft and Sony have supplied a console that is literally digital only. So of course, that's going to keep growing higher. And I know that the console manufacturers would prefer that, because if you buy a game digitally as opposed to on a store, they get the full profit of that said game. They don't have to pay, the retailers don't have to get a cut on that, which is why retailers like GameStop are starting to go down. But that's another story. Basically, I know it's something that they would want, and a lot of people are doing because it's more convenient to download a game. But both to Gabe's point about the storage space, it would need to improve in that time for that's more people to want to do that. And the other thing is, again, I really do feel like, especially now that Sony's made this announcement of an entire digital storefront closing, it's going to shake the faith to some people. I feel like some people are going to look at that and be worried. And it might, this upwards growth that the analysts are predicting, it's not going to go as fast now that this happened. I really don't think so. Even if realistically it would have been 6 years, it's going to be at least 10 now, assuming that's still the fair metric.
So this article says rising digital numbers do not necessarily spell doom for the physical for physical games.
Sure.
Just to point that out. But also, I completely disagree with you, Brandon. I think, we are upset about these stores closing, but I think, on average, I think people are more upset that the stores are closing than people that are actually still purchasing and playing games from that store. It's not about the games themselves that are on the PS3 and the PSP. It's the fact that they could. I don't think that people assume that this is going to happen to PS4 and PS5 at all.
No time
think
soon.
That's going to change the if you have a digital PS5 and you purchase a digital PS5 and you hear they're closing the PS Vita and PSP store, you're not going to go buy a physical PS5 now, because
if you already own a digital version. You're right. If you're there, a person that already owns a digital is not going to trade that in for a physical. If they already locked into digital, they've considered all the contingencies.
Buying digital games?
No, I don't think that at all. I think it's going to make people buy for the digital less frequently than they already were. The upwards trend is not going to stop, but it's going to slow down.
I disagree. I don't see a correlation. I don't see a correlation.
Well, PS3, let's also bring this back a little bit, because the PS3, there was no digital physical edition. You just got whatever the PS3 model was, and then you bought physical or digital depending on your preference or whatever the game was. But now that we're in an era where you can choose between getting all digital or an all physical. You know, that's not going to change people who are buy digital. If they bought the PS5 all digital version just so they could play digital games, it's not going to change their opinion, of course. And the digital is their only option. And even PS5 owners who have the one that you can use the disc in are still going to buy digital games. So it's not stopping. I just don't think it's going to go as fast because people are going to look at that. What's that?
I don't think it's going to slow down.
I think it'll slow down a
I
little.
think it might even speed up. I mean, we're all about convenience.
That's what I was just
I
going to
buy
say.
like almost all digital now.
I think
because
the Switch is a great example.
Yeah, I don't even know. I buy a ton of digital games because it's so easy to make an impulse purchase on that digital game and you just have it right then. You don't have to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do anything. There's no effort whatsoever. You just buy a game, you download it.
So would your counterpoint then be the fact that if people know that maybe one day these games will no longer be available on a digital store, that they would just buy more frequently today as a result? Because that I could agree with.
That's not my counterpoint, no.
You can't buy them from a digital store, but you could still have them.
What do you mean?
Are you saying that you couldn't buy them anymore?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Oh.
Well, for PS3 and PSP games, yes. Once the store closes, then physical is your only option. They get really expensive if you try to get them secondhand. But if people would, if I don't know, like Jerel's not saying that, but if you're saying that, Kelly, that people will look at the store closing and think, oh wow, that could happen in whatever 6 years, 7 years from now. I better buy a whole bunch of digital games. Then yeah, I could see that. I could see that being a counterpoint that maybe people will just buy more of the games they want now. And then it will still speed up. So it can go either way. I'm willing to make it go either way.
I see it as like a macro versus micro thing. Like I feel like we're discussing it, so it seems like it's a big deal. But I don't see it as like the average person purchasing digitally changing their minds because of this happening. Like I see them continually purchasing digitally if that's how they were purchasing before. Like my friends that own Switches, if they're only buying digital, this is not going to make them go buy physical. Like, so that trend is going to continue. I don't see that trend slowing down because of this, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and you're right, and you are right. Because even for those people, for the PS3 and PSP stores go down, that's just a store. If you already own the game, you're not losing it as long as you have your system on you, and that's fine then. So it's not going to dissuade digital people who buy digital, because if they already have the game, then it's no big deal. Even
Have
the store
I
closed.
changed your mind? Do you agree?
You've changed it a little, but you've changed it a little. I've thought about both sides, but I still think it could go either way.
Ah, okay. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
So also, since we're speaking of PlayStation, let's talk about, Nintendo as well. They're getting rid of the 35th anniversary Mario collection that is no longer available by the time you listen to this podcast. And they also got rid of, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, which is apparently the original game in English outside of emulation with fan translations. The only way you can play this, there's no physical copy to try and track down later. So if you haven't gotten it, the English version, and you're a fan, get fucked. So yeah, Nintendo's doing it too. They said fuck y'all.
Yeah, they said fuck y'all, straight up. And in that case, yeah, you had even less time with the PS3 and PSP stuff and the Vita stuff.
Yeah, but they warned you.
They warned you, and you had years to get them. This was, they warned you, but also you only have 6 months. So,
God, and I read the wrong tweet. So, I read the...
April Fools.
Huh?
April Fools.
April Fools! It is April 1st. Speaking of April Fools and lovely jokes, Balan Wonderworld, excuse me, I always call it Wonderland. Balan Wonderworld was apparently
I thought that's what it was called.
I thought it was Wonderland too.
Because you always say that.
I always say that, I know. It's like
I thought that's what it was called! You're blowing my
wrong.
fucking mind right now.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, we did a mini Mandela. I knew I should have corrected you earlier, but I was like,
you let it go,
whatever.
And now
you let him do it?
You let me do it every time.
Oh my god, okay.
Like, the first time I was like, he was doing it, and then he did it 2 more times, like, should I do something? And the third time I was like, it's too late now.
What actually is it?
Balan Wonderworld, yeah.
Wonderworld.
Yes.
Wonderland sounds better.
No, they should have done that. It just flows off the tongue. So Balan Wonderworld was apparently getting review bombed with positive scores, which is
I've never seen that shit before.
The first time I've heard of something like this.
Yeah.
And it made me so happy because I know that we were in chat the other day and I was defending the fuck out of this game, which is not even a great game, but I was defending it because I personally just feel like people are like, you know, gang banging this game like in a negative way. Like, what's the word? Gang banging is not the right word.
Sure it wasn't. You know what? We're gonna roll with it. We're gonna roll with it.
What's the word? They're like, you know, mob mentality.
Dogpiling?
Like, sure, they're dogpiling on this game.
Ganging up on.
There we go.
Yeah, they're gang banging.
Gang bang.
My point is, like,
It's not until 69 yet.
It's not. I'm so sorry. One reviewer said it was bad, and then everybody else said it was bad, and I feel like nobody ever gave this game a chance. And, you know, I'm not saying it's a good game. I'm saying I think it has a specific demographic. I think that it kind of got, like, the spotlight at a really bad time, and everybody just shitted on it. And it was really awesome to see people just go in and give it positive review scores after all the negative, because all I saw from these big video game sites was just like, it sucks. It's bad. Don't play it. Not a great platformer. Worst platformer on Switch. And then you go in and then you just see people giving it positive review scores, and I'm like, thank God. Did I start that trend? I will never tell.
I was gonna say, did you recruit a whole bunch of people to do this?
I will
He does
never
have an entire
tell.
website's worth of humans.
I just got everybody to, like, leave positive
Because I didn't
reviews.
write no review for this game.
I didn't either.
The process was the same as the Reddit GameSpot stock situation. I just got a bunch of people, hired them all, said we're gonna positive review bomb this game because it deserves a fucking chance. It's really cute. It's adorable. It's vibrant. It's colorful. It made me a little sick when I was playing, which is like really weird. That never happens. But the
Oh my God, that happened
characters
to me
are
too.
adorable. You can like customize yourself. You can see yourself in the you know, characters. It's really adorable for little kids. It's not a great platform, but it's super simple. And I think it got rated on a scale of trash to trash, and everybody called it trash. And I'm so happy that it had positive review scores. Gabe, I know you're gonna leave me soon, but do you remember what we were arguing about over this?
We?
Yes.
No. I want this to go on the record. This was the one time I didn't argue with Jerel about a game. I did not argue with you against this game, whatever was it called? Wonderland, Wonderworld, Balan. Yeah. The only thing I asked, because he was arguing with Grayson and
that was great.
there was someone else. You guys were arguing, and and Christy was part of the argument too. And my question was, if it's geared toward, because you keep bringing up the demographic, if it's geared towards kids, should it be reviewed for everyone, or should there have been a specific way to review that game? I wasn't arguing because I haven't touched the game. I haven't seen the game. So I didn't have any points to make.
And I think it was you said, oh yes, I remember now. It was the price of video games and whether the price of a game should be included in a review, which came from Balan Wonderworld. So I knew that you were arguing about something.
It wasn't really an argument. It was like a very.
It
was one of our more civilized.
Debate.
It was one of our more civilized debates.
I was going to say it was one of the most civil you two have been in like Slack.
Yeah.
It's literally
because the argument we had before that. No.
Yeah,
this one.
Christy was yelling at you to get off your damn phone.
This was an actual conversation. This wasn't like when I brought up Dragon Quest is better than Final Fantasy. I literally said that. I literally said that to make you angry.
We are not.
That was just me messing with you.
I refuse.
But this was an actual argument. Look, bro, get over it. Dragon Quest came first. It's better.
Goodbye, everyone. It's been a wonderful time talking to you. I will end this shit right now. Do not fuck with me. I will mute your entire shit. Oh, yeah. That's fine. He's sleeping.
Don't let him get the last word.
I will not. I'm going to actually skip that whole conversation because we all know that Final Fantasy is better than Dragon Quest. And I am going to ask you guys, don't do it.
False.
I'm going to ask you guys, so Balan Wonderworld is review bombed, and Gabe and I had a conversation about whether the price of a video game should go into its review. And I want to know what you guys think, because in the example of Balan Wonderworld, you know, I said I feel like this is a really cute $40 game, and I think if the price were lower, people would be much more convenient or lenient rather on the game being not as, you know, great as buying it on PlayStation for $60 or buying it on Switch for $60. But at the same time, is it fair to review a video game based on how much it costs when, the actual developers don't necessarily get to decide, the price of the video game? So what do you think?
The review
Okay.
is for
Yeah,
people
right.
that might buy it, so I do think that that's important to review it for the price, because I mentioned that in my reviews. Because it's important. Because if I don't think it's worth it, like, I won't give it a good review if it's not worth the price. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll give it like a lower score if it's not worth the price. If it's a full price, like $60 or $70 game, it better be fucking excellent. If it's not on Gamepass, it better be fucking excellent, or else I'm gonna just like crucify it.
So you would remove a point from a video game because it was base $60 price.
If it sucked, yes. If it was good and it was worth the money.
So then my question is, wouldn't your review be based on the game sucking anyway without the price being $60? Like, if the game sucks and you write the review about how the game sucks, the game's gonna suck whether it's $60 or not. So,
well, it depends on how bad it sucks. Like, does it have redeeming qualities? I think these are all factors that we think about. I mean, we rate things on HP Critical by certain scales. Like, we go with the gameplay and the story and everything. So, I mean, if you look at it from all those categories, is it enough game for the price? And is it good enough? I think that definitely is a factor.
I just don't see... I don't see the correlation again. Because I feel like if you are rating a game based on those same factors... If the gameplay is bad, if the story is bad, if everything's bad, you're going to give it a bad score. I'm not even going to think about the price when I'm reviewing a game. I'm going to think about the gameplay in the game, because I'm rating it based on what the developers have done, which is what the final product is, right? They don't get to decide whether their game is $60 or $40, right? So to me, it's unfair to give them a lower score on their game because someone else decided that it had to be $60. Like, I feel like if your game is bad, I'm gonna give you a bad score anyway. If your game is good, I'm gonna give you a good score anyway. I don't think that, I should take a point away because it's $60 and it doesn't deserve to be $60. I feel like if I'm taking that point away, it doesn't deserve to be $60 because of the gameplay or the graphics or something like that. I don't think that I personally would go in and remove a point because the game is it's not worth $60. But I do understand what Kellie's saying, because that also is a part of consumerism. Like, if I'm looking for something, I want to make sure that it's worth the money. So I don't know, I don't like it. But
I will just say that all the games that I've reviewed, I've either gotten for free from Game Pass or I've paid like less than like $15 for. So I will point that out.
To be fair.
To be fair. And I do feel like they were worth, $10 to $15 for sure, or Game Pass. Like, I'll say that. But like, I haven't paid full price, like $60 or $70 for a game, because I just don't fucking do that at all. But I haven't paid that and then reviewed a game, which might change some perception about
what game did you review for us that you got? Was it... Oh, never mind. That was on Game Pass too. Never mind.
Medium.
I was thinking about the other one, with the little people, the kids.
Grounded?
Yeah, but that was also on Game Pass. That was fine.
You bought that for me for one, and for two, that game is only $40, I think.
There we go. Make your games $40 if you want good scores.
You did buy that for me, though, so thank you.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, because then the precedent is, if you want a good score, lower the price of your video game.
I mean, geez, I love that.
Yeah, that sounds great. Just do that, everybody. Talk to your publishers. Tell them, look, you cannot sell this for $60 because this game is not worth $60, and we'll get better scores, and more people will buy it if you sell it for like $40.
A $40 game seems like.
But you think
like
that's
I would
okay?
spend that. I don't know. It's just a personal preference. I don't spend $60 on games anymore unless it's Call of Duty, which I've bought twice. You know what? Just
Gabe, before you go, please, because I know you disagree with me, tell me your opinion.
Funnily enough, this is not an April Fool's joke. Jerel actually brought up some very good points during this civilized debate that I'm going to take as my own right now on the podcast, because we can't prove it otherwise.
Huh?
I said that sentence wrong. I said that sentence wrong.
Are you saying that
Just
you're
whatever.
stealing my points?
I'm just. There we go. That's what I said.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool,
So
cool.
let this be known. These are all my
Cosine.
points.
Sure.
Not his. No, I'm kidding. But these Jerel made up the point that if you're gonna dock for price, best way to do it. I'm paraphrasing him. He said this a lot more intelligently than I did. If you're gonna dock, you see, here's the thing though. I tried being nice to him, and then he gets this smug ass look on him, and that's why I don't.
I said,
that's
did I?
nice
Because I probably didn't, but thank you. I said it more educated.
So if you're gonna dock the price, the best way to put it on a review would be to put it under the biggest problem. Like, for example, I brought up the example of NBA 2K21. Look, I don't care how hard of a basketball fan you are. I'm a diehard basketball fan. Go Heat. But you will never, ever be able to convince me that game is worth. Is it 69 or 79?
79.99. I think it is.
Yeah, no, I think it's 69.99.
Are you sure?
It's 69 because games are $70 now and not $60 anymore. You will never convince me to pay $70 for that game. Its controls are clunky. The graphics are cool. You can see individual drip swat, and individual sweat drip coming down the cheek. It looks visually pleasing, but the way it plays is complete ass. So a point Jerel made was if you're gonna talk about the price, in the gameplay section of your review, you would put NBA 2K21 is the game that fails at mimicking the smoothness of a basketball game with very clunky controls and very sporadic, movements by the player during the game don't match your control. And to have it at $70 for that is, again, for lack of intelligence, not a good thing. So I feel like, after we talked about that, I feel like, okay, that's the better way of making the score drop, more reasonable. Because not only are you mentioning the price, you're also mentioning what sucks about the game that makes the price not worth it.
Yeah, if it's a gameplay issue, like you said, how it's like erratic and not working properly, that is something that would affect the price because it's not a working game. You're going to sell someone not a working game. Now, the story and like other stuff that go into it, I guess the price shouldn't really hinge upon that. But if the game doesn't fucking play properly or work, that is something that I would hinge on the price for sure.
I think a great example is Cyberpunk 2077, right? People paid
Yes.
$60 for that game.
And they don't give refunds on anything, and they did on that because it was that bad.
But that game was sold at $60, and this might go against my point, but the reviews for that were all glowing in the 8s and 9s because on PC it was really good, and so people purchased it based off of that review score.
PC Master Race.
Yeah, there you go. And should they have given that game, so I think of it this way. If I'm playing this game on PC and it works as good as it does and it deserves a 9, why would I give it an 8 because it's $60, right? Like,
well, if it works good, you wouldn't give it a low rating.
So then I wouldn't judge it based on the price. So you're saying that it only matters
I'm saying
when it's a bad game.
If it's a bad game, yeah.
So the price only matters when it's a bad game. That seems so unfair.
I don't necessarily think it has to do with the pricing as more of like, how dare you list this as this much when the gameplay itself doesn't meet up to that. Like, I'm not, for example of a future game, if Breath of the Wild 2 comes out and I see trailers on it and it looks amazing, it's it's awesome, it's fingers crossed coming out on the Switch Pro, it has all new graphics, it's the texture is beautiful and all that, and it looks great, but then all of a sudden I pick up the game and I forgot where I was going with this, god damn it.
A tree branch is like glitches or something like that. Is that what you're
I know. I started.
One tree branch glitch.
About, like,
Drop the
store. No, but
they charge me $60 for a tree branch. Sorry.
And the game comes out looking, it's okay because I still haven't gathered my thoughts. And the game looks beautiful and all that, but then all of a sudden, I put the game in, and first of all, we all know it's a Nintendo game. It's a mainline Nintendo game. It's going to be priced to, the most expensive thing Nintendo price has right now, which is,
60.
thank goodness, $59.99. Yeah, $60.
Yeah.
But if it comes out and like sucks and it's a garbage game, you're going to feel like, how dare you charge people $60 for a game that you showed off to be very beautiful and looked really good on screen in trailers, but it plays like absolute shit. So I think that's I've completely lost the focus halfway through that, but I hope you guys kind of gathered the pieces of what I was trying to say.
I did get the point. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Honestly, I'm still reeling that you said I was right for once. So I'm gonna take that and run.
Yeah, don't get used to it.
We'll run with it. So I want to throw in my 2 cents on this real quick because I agree with pretty much everything you guys said, but I do want to say this much, and I think whenever you do a review, I think, and too many people ignore this fact, but the score that a game gets is just a summary. Because basically what's most important is what the review is. Like we at HP Critical, every time we review a game, we have, in addition to our score, we have what the price of the game is. Mm-hmm. So as far as whether or not, like, as far as when we review a game, we talk about what the game has. What kind of gameplay does it do? Is it like a platformer? Is it an open world? Is it a shooter, RPG, what have you? And going into that, even just by the genre of the game, you probably already have an idea if that game is for you. But if it is a genre that you may enjoy, then you'll probably read further on to see what more about the game is there. If it's an RPG, you would expect it to be long because that's what RPGs are. If you're playing a shooter, then you might be looking for it to have a good campaign and the multiplayer robust, all the good stuff. And the review will tell you that. Apart from the score, if you like the actual written words, will tell you if that's the case or not. And ultimately, after reading the review and seeing the score as the summary of everything that was said, you determine as a consumer reading a review whether the game is worth it to you. Some people don't want to spend $60 or $70 to buy the latest Call of Duty, but will gladly spend that on Skyward Sword HD coming out later this year or a big RPG. So that's their personal value to it. And all you're really talking about is what this game has as far as the review itself. Now, so for me personally, I don't think the price should matter much to the review because it's going to ultimately depend on you based on what's in the game and how much it is. But I do want to give one point to the people who do use price as a means to factor into the review is that anytime someone does a review, you want to be as objective as possible. You want to talk about the game's core things and objective as possible. But at the end of the day, it is not a robot reviewing this game. It is a human being. And they're going to have, as objective as they are going to be some subjective opinions thrown in. And therefore, if they're playing this game that they spent $60 on and they finish the core story in like 10 hours, that may leave a negative impression on them, and they may think that that's not worth $60, and that's something that they may point in review, and they may even dock points for that. And it's their review, so that's really what it's all about. And I want to give a really good example of that because people were dunking on IGN for this, but I just want to Super Mario 3D World when it originally came out on Wii U. I think that game reviewed at like 9 out of 10 or something like that. Like, don't quote me that, but it was a pretty high number. And then Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury comes out for Nintendo Switch. Objectively, it's a better game, but it gets a low review. It gets like a 7.5 and 8 out of 10. And the reason why that happened, even though that's an objectively better version of the game, is because a different reviewer reviewed that game and they had their own opinions based on what they played of the game. And also they had to factor in both 3D World and Bowser's Fury. And if they're judging both games as a whole, and they didn't like let's say they loved 3D World but hated Bowser's Fury, that may negatively affect the score to them, even if there's overall more content in the game. And I think that's an important distinction that should be made. So the Too Long didn't hear all that. I don't think price should necessarily affect the game's score if the review itself explains itself, but I understand why it's done and I don't necessarily hate it.
They should have just increased the score by a point because it's 2 games in 1 for $60.
That would be the most fundamental way to do it, but again...
That's horrible! Here's a free point because you gave me 2 games instead of 1!
free points.
Despite
Every
how
collection,
I actually
every collection
feel.
is 10 out of 10. Just take this 8 out of 10 game. 8 out of 10 game. It's a 16 out of 10.
What it
Whoa!
is.
It's better. It's better than deducting. It's better than deducting 2 points because there's too much water in a remake. You know I was gonna bring it up. Don't you knew it was coming.
As soon as Brandon said what he said, I was like, it's coming. I'm gonna move on.
Anytime I hear IGN scores, I'm gonna say, well, while you move on, I'm gonna bid everybody adieu. I love all you guys. Happy birthday, Kelly.
He finally said it. Finally said it.
Finally said it.
He
So you better keep that on track. I'm not gonna say it for like another 6 months. Bye, guys.
Bye. Aww.
Well, now that he's gone.
Here's the real tea about games. So, no, I'm just kidding.
All tea, I'll share.
I have real tea to share with you guys, but I can't do it on the podcast. I gotta do it after the podcast. But
Okay.
I
Well,
know
make a
something.
About what? Oh.
I can't say on the podcast, but it's juicy.
Subscribe to our Patreon to get behind the scenes.
Wait.
Patreon.com/hpcritical.
Juicy, like personal juicy, or like juicy?
It's like, yeah.
Or like HP critical juicy?
No. It's a mixture.
Okay.
How's that? It's like I got juice parts on both.
Right.
Okay, if it's a mixture, then I retract. Support us on Patreon anyway, but you're not getting that.
Support us on Patreon. I'm a Patreon.
Please support us on Patreon, but you're not getting personal information. We might give you some HP critical, like
Behind the scenes.
little behind the scenes stuff, but we're not telling people's like social securities or something.
It will never happen unless you pay me a lot of money.
Yeah. I do expect presents, by the way.
Go create a tier, Jerel, and maybe people will get that information.
Never mind, let me shut up now. So, before I spin this off the rails. So, recently there was a rumor that, the E3 Digital Showcase was going to be a charged event. Essentially that E3 could be behind a paywall after we all know that it is going to be online only because of COVID, and E3 came out and tweeted that E3's 2021 digital show is a free event for all attendees. And then they said, we're excited to fill you in on all the real news for the event very soon. And they quote tweeted the original tweet that said E3 could be behind a paywall. So I do, obviously we know now that it is free. We still don't know whether it was planned to be paid. And then they saw the reaction and they were like, oh shit, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be free forever. So obviously we don't know. It could have just been free this entire time. If they decided to charge for E3 this year, how would you feel about that? Especially in this current climate where technically you can't go to E3 because obviously COVID-19 is a thing, and a lot of journalists are essentially going to be having to cover E3 from home anyway. Putting E3 behind a paywall means that, us at HP Critical, we would essentially have to buy access to an online event that, mind you, we don't even know how many companies are actually showing up to E3 because a lot of people are doing their own thing now. So how would you guys feel about E3 online only being something that you have to pay for?
Fucking no.
Never.
No.
I am going to echo Kelly and say no. Only because if we're talking hypothetically that we'd have to pay for E3, like as far as consumers, like if you've never been to a physical E3 but you watch it, then the way you would do that is by, YouTube, Twitch, via whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And if a digital only E3, you would get that same amount of content, but then pay for it, then fuck no. But I will say one thing. If your payment would get you exclusive content that would normally only be reserved for people that would be at the physical venue, that would be a different story, because then we'd have to talk about how much it is and what you'd be getting, which the ESA has revealed neither at this point. All we know now is that it will be free for all digital attendees. We don't know what that gets us. We don't know if being a digital attendee of the event means the exact same thing as people who haven't been, if you're just watching it on videos or whatever. Because if that's what they mean, then whatever, nothing's really changed. But if we're getting more information than we had before and it's free, well then maybe that could be something. But again, we gotta wait for them to tell us some more stuff before I can really give my full opinion on this. it's free, so whatever. Sounds good to me. We'll see.
Brandon, I have a question for you.
What's up?
What kind of insider access stuff do you think they could charge for?
That's a good question, because a lot of the stuff that they would offer at a physical E3 was stuff that could only really be feasibly done there. Like, for example, if you're a game journalist that's going to E3 and you have a press badge, you could go behind the scenes and play like an exclusive demo that other people in the show floor could
Which
play.
you can't
Or
do
just
at
in
a digital event. So what the fuck?
correct,
are you charging
and correct. And you couldn't. And by the same token, a lot of people suggest, well, what if they just bring the demos to home? Then people would hack the shit out of that and figure out how to like keep the game or something like that. You can't trust these really exclusive demos in the homes of people. I just don't think it's a feasible way to do it. Like, unless it's like a pre-release where they just completely haven't finished the game and there's really nothing to extract. But even then, I don't know. Like, I don't know what we're being offered as opposed to like if as being a viewer to E3 and this digital access event. I don't know what the difference is. They literally haven't said. And I don't know if anything they could provide to us would mirror the experience of actually going to E3 and getting to play like the games there or seeing booths. Like, I don't know what we're getting. Like, what's different?
Well, so to be fair, they haven't actually said that there is a separate tier, right? They've only said
and that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like
it's free for
like,
all.
yeah, it's free for all. My impression was like back when the rumor said that might be a paywall. My impression was that press people who bought in would get some stuff. Again, I don't know what that means, but they would get something, and then everybody else would just watch on Twitch or YouTube like they've done every single year up to this point. But if it's free for everyone, then I really don't know the differences.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It feels like normally they had to pay, like companies had to pay a ton of money to like get in.
Uh-huh.
I guess that would be why you'd have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if they're not doing the venue and not paying a ton of money, then why would we have to pay to watch?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm not really getting anything out of it unless it was like super cheap. But even still, like to watch a video online, I'm not gonna pay for
like
that.
even if it was only $5 to watch the normal Twitch or YouTube stream live, even that's, it's $5, but that's still paying to watch a live event in the comfort of your home, which you were able to do in past years anyway.
For free.
Just suddenly throwing a paywall for that would be scummy. So again, if all this digital intent is just a fancy way of saying you'll be able to watch our conferences for free like you always have been, thanks, ESA. Great.
My biggest annoyance with that was, like, first of all, if you charge me, why are you charging me? Because...
Correct, yeah.
Like, I can understand if you're paying for the venue that it's being held at, and you have to have, like, caterers in there, because people gotta eat, you gotta pay for space, etc., like...
and all the stuff they have in there, all the computers for the demos that they
money,
do, like,
right?
it costs a lot.
Like, for a game. Like, they had it, like, for the E3 where they were promoting Breath of the Wild specifically, they basically recreated, like Hyrule in some aspects. You could, like, take pictures with the enemies and stuff like that, those big boosts, like, that stuff like that.
All of that costs a lot of money. I get that. Yeah. But guess what? It's fucking digital. So, like,
what are we getting?
Like, you're not running... What is my $5 gonna go towards? Like, y'all just keeping my money at this point? Because, obviously, you're not gonna have to... Not only that, but who even knows who's gonna be at fucking E3, right? Because
Nintendo... and that's what, like we said in past podcasts, too. Like, who's going?
Nintendo does their own thing. With
they do
direct. Sony just started their first ever PlayStation Square Enix did their own PlayStation or Square Enix Presents. Oh my god, Square Enix Presents.
We get it, Jerel. You love
PlayStation. I love PlayStation. PlayStation has their State of Play. Xbox had their Indie Showcase a while ago. Like, all these big companies are kind of doing their own thing, so why would they even pay to be on a digital front when they can get their own, like, specific audience to them? So I don't even know who's going to be there. Like, you gonna charge me $5 to watch Devolver Digital have a presentation that they're going to put up for free later on anyway? Because, like, I'm sure they
I love
would.
Devolver Digital's presentations, but I will not pay money to watch it. Like, when it goes, like, it's not even, like, the Devolver Digital conferences are not even live. They're pre-recorded videos just happen to go live at this point, and you can watch it.
It's just funny because people would pay, like, probably, I don't know, I've never been to, like, like an E3 or something, but like people probably pay like $100 or more. I know tickets for Guardian Con were like $80
E3
or something. I
tickets
think
were $1,000, I believe.
Okay, that's what I'm saying though. Like $1,000 to go in person. I ain't even gonna fucking pay $5 to watch this online. Like it's just not gonna happen. You know, I don't care that it's like what, 99.9% off. I'm still not going to watch it.
Yeah, and I mean, even then, obviously if you're going to E3 as press, you're going to get a press badge, you're going to get in. And then you have the opportunity to play new games, to write about them, interview developers, all that great stuff. You don't pay $1,000 to do that. Like, that's not how that works. They want you because they want you to promote their games. That's the point. Like, it doesn't work the other way around. And so this is essentially just a consumer situation in which it's like, how much money can we squeeze out of people excited for video games? For honestly, us, because what else are we using it for?
And here's another point that this only got brought to my attention about 2 weeks ago because I was listening to another podcast that I was talking about, like, gaming. I'm
sorry, Brandon. Before you tell me this, I just want everyone to know that there's actually only one gaming podcast, and it's HP Critical. Go ahead.
That's correct. I was listening to our alternate universe of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we were talking about in this alternate universe, Earth 2, if you will, is that, let's give an example. EA, with their EA Play. They haven't been in E3 for years, but they would always do it on like the Saturday or Sunday before E3. So even though it was technically their own event, they really didn't have to pay E3 or anything like that. They still got that E3 views because people were looking people go, like, Kelly, you brought it up. If something's at E3, you're more likely going to watch it because if you're not interested in Nintendo, you're not going to watch a Nintendo Direct. If you're not interested in Sony, you're not going to watch State of Play.
Yeah.
But if you're just interested in gaming in general, you'll watch more or less every conference of E3 because you just want to know what's going on because it's a big event. And EA was able to get that even though they're not part of E3 just because they had it on the same week. So they were able to still get that. So the point I'm trying to make with that is if the conferences, like if Nintendo says, we're not going to do E3, Sony says, we're not going to do E3, Microsoft says, we're not going to do E3, none of them go to E3, but they all do their presentations at around the same time that they would have if it was E3, like within the same week. They'll still get that E3 exposure from all having their announcements around the same time, even if they're not necessarily part of E3. Now, I do think it'd be harder if all of them try to get away with that because they couldn't be that close together or it defeats the purpose. But if it's close enough or one or two of them do it and it's around close enough time, why pay the money for E3 if you're still going to get like that same exposure that,
And then these events aren't even in the same place. Like, they're not happening next to each other. So it's not like if we were, going and paying money, we would just sit in an auditorium and see everything happen at one time. It doesn't even work that way. So it's like, y'all are gonna charge me for watching like 5 different streams in one place for whoever signs up. That ain't gonna work. That's stupid.
And also to further what I was saying too, Nintendo has probably the least, they've been doing directs since at like 2013 instead of press conferences. So their only benefit to even attending E3 was to be on the show floor. Their treehouse streams where they have staff play the game or their booths that they would have set there. But they haven't done press conferences for for 7 years now. It's just been their direct. And then after the live direct goes live, then they'll cut to treehouse streaming. People can go play their games. If there's not even a booth anymore, then what the hell are they going to E3 for if they're just going to do a direct anyway? They could do a direct on, I don't know, a Wednesday, but the week before E3, cut immediately to treehouse footage do that for the day, maybe do that for 2 more days, and that's their personal E3.
Yep, exactly.
And they're done. They have no need.
So, I actually want to talk about Outriders for a little bit. Kelly, did you try it?
No.
Brandon, did you try it?
Had the demo downloaded, haven't gotten to it yet.
I did.
So tell us about Outriders, Jerel.
So I played a little bit of Outriders, but the reason I brought it up is because Outriders, the demo was downloaded by more than 2 million people. And there's a tweet here that says Outriders is now the biggest launch on Steam in the history for Square Enix. It has reached an incredible 100,000 plus concurrent players on launch day, and is the first paid game ever published by Square Enix to reach this height, not counting free games or weekends. So the fact that it is Thursday and it came out midnight and it already has over 100,000 plus players is a huge deal for Square Enix. I think it's really interesting that they are delving into this type of genre, because I don't think they have any like first person loot shooters at all, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't think of any.
And I
don't think it's the first shooter RPG, but I think it's like the first loot shooter RPG.
And I just thought, like, I think we talked about the revenue that Square Enix made and how Final Fantasy VII basically just made it that they can make whatever the fuck they want, even if it fails, and they'll still make money. Like, Outriders is a great example of what happens when you have, like, when you expand what you're known for, because now people are definitely going to recognize Square Enix as not just the JRPG machine, right? Now they are also this loot shooter genre, and so I enjoy Outriders. I know a lot of people don't like it. I know a lot of people were not fans of it. They said that the classes are too similar, or it's just not fun if you're playing certain things. I enjoyed it. I think it's a game that's going to be a lot of fun when you play with friends, which is why we're going to play after this podcast. But Outriders, I mean, we saw the information at the Square Enix Presents. Are you guys surprised by these numbers at all?
I am a little, because I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. It seems to be more of a game that people are just, it's the silent majority, I guess. Like,
that's
some
crazy,
games are...
because I have heard a lot of people... I'm sorry, but I heard
I'm on streamer Twitter because I stream and I watch people stream, and they're like all into it. Like they're like Outriders partners, they're all of this stuff, but then it just launched today and I didn't see anything about it online. Like the demo, it was like, oh yeah, amazing. Everybody's and then I knew it was on Gamepass. We were talking about it. And like now that it's actually launched, I haven't heard much, and I'm like,
that's because everybody's playing it.
They're shutting up. They're not on Twitter
they're all playing right now, so they can't talk about it.
They're like not saying anything, but yeah.
It doesn't seem to be like and I do think that makes sense, because Outriders doesn't seem like the kind of game where you play it and just keep going to Twitter to talk about how much you like it. It's just a game you keep playing. It's more like a single player game. If you're enjoying the adventure, you will not shut the fuck up about, like, it's like, oh my god, this game is amazing. I'm an hour in, look how we're going. But Outriders, like, no, the way that gameplay is made, it just seems more natural. Just you keep playing that. Like, you'll talk about it to death pre-release, but once it's out, like, you just play. The most you'll hear is about maybe after a day is done. You're like, wow, I spent like 12 hours playing Outriders. But not during. That's what my point is I'm trying to make.
I think, and I'm trying to find it, but I think Rodrigo...
Wait, is it on Game Pass?
Yeah, yes, it is available on Game Pass right now. It was, so actually what happened was at midnight, people were trying to download it on Game Pass and it wasn't working.
Is it only on Xbox Game Pass?
No.
No,
I think it should be on PC as well.
I'm searching it.
It was like the first thing on Xbox, though. I don't play PC, so I'm not sure. I have no idea. But what I do know is that Rodrigo called it Gears of War meets Destiny, and I thought that is very interesting. But it's not as sexy. And I played a little bit of Gears of War. I played a little bit of Destiny, and I was like, I can see it. I can actually see it. It's not as tight as Gears of War.
There was devs from Gears, so I can understand that part.
It's not as tight as Gears of War, but it's really I really enjoyed it, and I like the character customization is kind of messy. Like, there's only like 2 cute options, not enough customization, not enough black people. I'm gonna let it go. But I'm sorry, I had to bring it up. But yeah, I think you guys should try the demo after this. We should all play together, and that way on the next podcast we can talk about how we feel about it. I'd be really interested to see your thoughts. Then the numbers did surprise me, but then I thought Square Enix doesn't have loot shooters, and I think loot shooter as a genre is really popular. especially as a multiplayer game. And, we saw everyone playing cooperatively right now. I don't know if it's due to COVID or if it's just like the video games, but everybody's playing Monster Hunter Rise together now, right?
I just want to get it. I just want to buy it because I just want to play it.
Peer pressure. I bought it.
Is it multiplayer? Can we play together?
We can all play online. Yeah.
It's for Switch, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Honestly, the only reason I bought it is because everybody in Slack was showing off their freaking copies, and I was like, I guess.
Honestly, like, I want to love it. Like, I played Monster Hunter games before. I played it on PlayStation, I think, and I was just like, I don't get it, but like, I feel like I'm missing something.
Oh my god, yes. I felt the same way. I played World, and I was like, okay, this is really fun, but it's only
That's
fun
the one
when
I played,
with other people. When I had to play by myself, I was like, I don't want to play this.
I didn't want to play it.
Like, this is not fun to me. But when you're playing in a party of friends and you're trying to take down a big monster, of course that's fun. Like, who doesn't want to play with their friend, like 3 other friends, and kill a big ass fucking dragon? Of course that's fun.
Trying to coordinate any group of people to do
so
anything,
difficult.
though, is so ridiculous. My friend... Anyways, I digress. One of my friends messaged me like 2 days ago and was like, hey, you want to play? I totally didn't even see it. And I'm like, I did want to play. Like, yes. I've been trying to get a group of people together to play like that Labyrinthine update for like a month. It's just not happening.
Well, after this, we gotta play some Outriders.
Okay. And then we'll play our Labyrinthine, because it's really scary, and I need Jerel to be crying.
Why would you do that?
I'm just joking. I have the Outriders demo open on my screen right now. I'm ready.
Oh, did you find it on Gamepass, though, or just the demo?
No, I just saw the demo, but my computer needs an update. I think I just gotta... Maybe that's why.
Well, I mean, so I'm ready to go play games. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about?
Well, I think that's pretty much everything as far as this week was concerned, I think.
We can dip and go play some Outriders.
I'm
down for this.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. Without Gabe here, you and him arguing usually takes up a good portion.
That's true. And I'm looking through the notes we have this week. We pretty much covered all the topics.
Okay.
I see that the problem is Gabe and I arguing. That's why we go on for 2 hours. When he's not here,
it just goes on. It gets a little long-winded. I love you guys, but like you just keep going, and it's so funny because it doesn't ever end at the place you started. Like it always like starts like on some totally unrelated thing, and then by the end it's like, no, fucking Zelda Breath of the Wild is the best they've ever made, and you're just like, no, it's fine. 7, and then
that's totally us. Like, that is the whole argument.
Every conversation just becomes Final Fantasy 7 versus Breath of the Wild.
I can't trust your opinion because you think Breath of the Wild is better than Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, that's literally...
And I'm just like sitting here like, oh my god.
Now you guys
Jerel, I'll stand up for you, but I don't have any opinion.
Speaking of Final Fantasy 7, Kelly, before I go, when are you going to finish that one? On podcast. It's on stream. You got to tell us right now.
I have not been playing
Called
any
out.
games.
I know. So I'm calling you out right now.
I'm sorry. If it was on PC, I would have already finished
you said
it.
That
I
already.
guarantee it. My PlayStation is not even plugged in, but I will plug it in this weekend. And I will play it on Sunday because my boyfriend's working and I have no plans.
Yay!
All right? We'll do it because,
and you still owe us an Aerith cosplay while you stream it.
I actually was thinking about it. My hair is not as dark anymore, which kind of stinks. It was darker. But I have some things that actually, I'm not going to be able to do a full Aerith cosplay, but it's like, her outfit in the game, like I could look very similar.
That's what I've been waiting for you.
So it's gonna be like a kind of like a cheap ass Aerith cosplay.
A cosplay is a cosplay, okay?
So I have a red bow, and I have like a pink, like kind of puffy sleeve shirt. Because doesn't she wear like a shirt like that?
It's red, yeah.
Okay. So, well, yeah, I think she I don't know. I have something that could look very similar, so I think I can.
3/4 sleeve jacket, I believe, over a dress. Over
See,
a
I
dress.
Red
don't.
over a pink dress.
Yeah, so I don't have the jacket, but
Okay, we'll make
it has like kind of puffy sleeves, so I could probably make that work.
See, there we go. Sunday, everybody, look for Kelly's Twitch stream on Sunday. She's
Now I'm gonna
committed to doing this
okay.
on Sunday. And speaking of Twitch streams, Brandon, before I close out, what are we doing? I know we're having our finale, I guess, of Super Mario 3D World tomorrow.
Correct.
night?
Yeah. Yes. Tomorrow, as of this recording, anyway. Tomorrow night at 8:15, you, me, Gabe, and Christy will be finishing up Super Mario 3D World. I went ahead and got all the collectibles, all the green stars, stamps, flags.
He hates playing with us, so he got them by himself.
Look, some of those last ones. Okay, look. Let me be real. Let me be real. Some of those green stars, I'm glad we didn't waste stream time doing it because they were obnoxiously hidden. I was like, this would have been boring to look for if we didn't use a guide. I was like, so it's fine. But the point is, we got those collectibles. So now we've unlocked the final world. It's going to be 3 levels, but they're really hard. But we're giving ourselves plenty of time to do it, so it'll be fine.
We breeze through that game. Nothing's hard.
Yeah, okay, cool. Anyway, it's 8:15 p.m. because our finale. As far as upcoming streams, HP Critical doesn't hold up usually on Mondays, 8 p.m. I got 2 more parts of Galaxy left. That's going to be at 7s on Wednesdays. And then I'll be doing Bowser's Fury after that. Because by that point, we'll be long done with 3D World. And Fortune Street's on 2 Sundays this month.
And also, if you want to keep up to date, Brandon has released the HP Critical stream schedule up on hpcritical.com, as well as Kelly's Labyrinthine review, which if you haven't checked out, please do. It's one of our most popular reviews there, so definitely go to hpcritical.com, check out everything that we're writing over there. It is our, like Gabe said, our 2-year anniversary. Happy birthday, HP Critical. Definitely check out everything we're doing over there, and of course, stay tuned to the next podcast. And yeah, we're gonna go play some Outriders. Bye, everybody!
Bye!
Bye!
Let's go! HP Critical!